Have you ever wanted to burn witches at the stake? If so, raise your hand. Okay, somebody call the police on these people. For the rest of us, if Salem and the witch trials was interesting to you, but you really don't want to deal with the gossip and all the, people talking about everybody, and you want to move to a new town, well, welcome to New Salem. Because we're starting up a new city with our Puritan friends. And what? The witches can just move here with us? Oh, yeah. We don't know which ones are Puritans and which ones are witches. So the witches could just move to New Salem with us. All right, let's start the witch trials.
Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
So here is New Salem. This is a drafting and set collection game, not to be confused with Salem. You're going to get a very, very large box in this. As you can see, quite larger than it's needed. The rule book is gigantic. I don't like these big rule books because they're kind of hard to use at the table. Although I do like how it does give you enough space. So good and bad. You have the setup with different players. Pretty much an explanation of the entire game will be over these 2 pages. So if you're going to keep one page open, this is where you kind of want to be. The game in-house triggers, and just some advertisements here, and a little bit of a reference of cards that you'll need and cubes that you'll be doing, etc. And the bag. You're going to see some big, giant white and black cubes. These are very chunky, very nice. You're going to get some tokens that you'll be using, your character cards, and all the cards that will be shuffled together. Let me set it up, and I'll show you how to play. There are really 2 types of characters in this game. You have witches, which will be signified by this skull symbol. And then you'll have Puritans, which will be signified by the symbol of hope. Now, you have a lot more Puritans than you do witches, but you'll notice that the witches have 3 icons on the left for scoring purposes, and the Puritans have 2. The way the game is played, either the Puritans win or the witches, and then you'll score, and whoever has the most points wins. So if the witches win, every Puritan loses, and the witches will score points, and the witch with the most points wins, and vice versa. If the Puritans win, all the witches lose, but the Puritans will score up, and whoever has the most points will win the game. Now, set the game based on the number of players. You'll have a number of Puritans and witches that you will put together. You will shuffle these up face down so nobody knows what they're getting, and everybody will get 1, and only they look at it. So this will be hidden. 2 things will be hidden: if they're a Puritan or a witch, and what icons they are trying to collect. This is a drafting social deduction game. There will be 5 rounds to the game signified by these 5 tokens. Each round, it will tell you how many you deal out and how many you will play, and the direction that you will draft the cards. So in the first round, you'll draft 3 and play 2, then 4 and 3, then you will deal 5 and play 4. And this is the most that you'll be able to deal and play. And then you'll start playing less again. 4 and 3, and 3 and 2. And each round you just alternate whether you're going to the left or the right. So in the first round, we know we will draw 3 and play 2. So I'm just going to draw 3 cards, but you would sort these out. And what you would do is you take one of the cards and you play it face down and pass the other to the other player while receiving 2 more from the person over here. So what do these cards do? If you notice, what do these cards do? If you notice, each of these cards have icons in the top left, as does my player card. So if I play a card in front of me that matches one of these icons, which I have 2 of them on my hand, so I could play either of these 2, then at the end of the game I will score a point. So there are a couple of ways to score in this game. You'll see icons, in this case a juggler or a book. Now if I play a card face down that has that juggler icon on it, at the end of the game I will score 1 point for each card I play that has that juggler icon, keeping in mind these icons and whether I'm Puritan or Witch are hidden from the other players. Now if I were to play these 3 cards that form a panorama, they kind of tell a story right there, I will score 2 points for playing the entire set. Now this one also happens to match the icons of my player. So I will get 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5 for playing the complete set. And this one up here will be worth 1 for a total of 6. If this panorama did not match my icon, I would just get the 2 points. This would be worth 1, and I would have 3 points. So that's how you score and win the game. The cards that you play will also have symbols at the bottom. Either it will have hope or a skull. These will be the ones that you see the most. If you play a card with a hope symbol on it, you will take one of your white cubes and place it on the card. If you place one with a with a skull, you will place a black cube on it, and that will stay in front of you. Now the white cubes allow you to buy cards that will give you powers during the game. I'll explain those in a second. The black cubes is how you win or lose the game. Based on the number of players, if there are a number of black cubes on the board, for example, in a 7-player game, if there are 14 cubes on everybody's cards, at the end of the game, the witches win. If there's 13 or less, then the Puritans win. And then you will calculate the score. So these can be great for the witches and bad for the Puritans. When you play one of these, this can also give you information of whether somebody's a Puritan or a witch. You also have a symbol that has a broken skull on it. When that is played, you simply take a black cube off one of the cards anywhere on the board, and you take it off. Keeping in mind that some of the cards will have both a hope and a black on it, or a skull, which means you will place a white and a black on it. Furthermore, there will be some cards that have neither icon on it, and you do nothing with it. Now, when a player has white cubes, they can spend these to activate these cards. Normally, you will not have enough white cubes by yourself in order to purchase one, so you have to share with somebody else. You cannot just take my 3 and your 2 and add them together to get 5. Instead, I would have to give you all 3 of mine, or you have to give me all 2 of yours, and then I could spend them. So you have to build trust with your other players. So let me show you what these things can do. If you give up 5 cubes here, you get to remove 2 black cubes from anywhere on the board. This is a great card for your Puritan to play because they'll be able to eliminate these black cubes, and these black cubes are how the witches win. For this one, you can play 2 white cubes, and when you do so, you can look at anybody's character card, and you'll know for sure whether they're a Puritan or they're a witch. Now, you're allowed to tell the other players, but you could be lying. Now, if you were to play 5, there's 3 of these in the game. If you were to play 5 white, you can pardon somebody. You take this card and you put it in front of yourself or someone else, and they can never be put on trial. This is a very, very good card for a witch. If you're a witch, you want that card in front of you because for 4 white, somebody could buy the trial card. And what the trial card does, it allows a player, when they play a card, to no longer add any despair or hope cards. So, this is a pretty important card because no matter what card they're playing, they're not adding any more of these tokens. So you really want to put this in front of a witch because they're probably going to play a lot of black cubes, where somebody good may be placing a bunch of white. Now, I'm convinced that in order to win this game, you have to try to get these out because everybody will accidentally place some black because that's just what they were drawn and they have to play this round. So it stops those black cubes from coming out either on purpose or an accident, but it's highly, highly more effective to place on a witch. So these cards will be placed in the game. At the end of the game, you see if there's enough black to spare for the witches or the Puritans to win, and then you count the points for the winning tide, and whoever has the most points is the individual winner. New Salem is another social deduction game. This one's brought to you by the makers of Good Cop, Bad Cop, also the leaders of Euphoria. This is a very good heritage and pedigree to this game. But does New Salem add up to all the parts of those games? Yes, for the most part, it does. I feel like it's not quite as good as some of the social deduction games that came before, like Good Cop, Bad Cop. Definitely not as good as The Resistance. But there is something here. It's really hard because sometimes you want to maximize your points, say, as a Puritan, but sometimes that means putting out those black cubes that actually is going to give the win to the witches. So you want to be careful about having those despair cubes out. And I think it's really important in this game. This is my strategy hint, but I really think it's important to put somebody on trial in this game as early as possible. Even if you put somebody good on trial, even if you do that, that would still prevent them from accidentally putting out black cubes. Now, you're not getting the hope cubes that they would put out. That's true. But you're not putting out those black cubes. And I found in our plays that the witches are able to get those black despair cubes out fairly quickly because the Puritans are also putting them out. So you really, really have to watch yourself and understand as a Puritan you're not going to score as many points. And you really have to kind of almost harm yourself by not putting out those despair cubes, but you're going to score less points. But you're really hoping somebody else does that so you can play all the cards you need to win. But if everybody plays selfishly, nobody is going to win. It's a very hard balance to have in the game. And that's just the game. Because if the Puritans are selfish, you likely will lose this game. So it's a nice give and take of that. Otherwise, I would say this is probably not the social deduction game to get. If you like social deduction games, this is probably the third one you would get. I would say, get something like Resistance or Avalon first. Then you would probably want to get Good Cop, Bad Cop, or maybe Cash and Guns. I like that one too. And then probably this one would settle in as third, at least for the ones that I've played. The theme is fun. The artwork is great. It's not too dark. I feel like you can play this game with nearly anyone. After a round, everybody wants to play another one. But there's a little bit more going on than just the social deduction. You're still playing the cards down. You're hoping to get those panoramas that add up set collection. And you definitely want to match your icons, which pushes you into this box. But you can definitely burst out of it for scoring purposes. And that's really neat. Because look, it's going to be the witches that are going to win or the Puritans. It's not both. And if the witches win, whatever witch has the most points is going to win, versus if the Puritans win, whichever Puritan has. So if the Puritan has the most points, but the witches get the required despair cubes out, you've lost the game. So that is balancing in this one too. So it's like a team play. Almost reminds me of Walking Dead game that I reviewed, where you have this team, you're not really sure who's on your team, but you want to score the more points in this one versus just not getting killed. So New Salem, I'm definitely going to recommend. I'm going to say it's probably not the first social deduction game you want. It's definitely not going to be the last one, but it's somewhere there in the middle. For this one, we had a lot of fun. If you're looking for a good party game, this might be it. New Salem. Check this one out, guys. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel. Lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing games.